So very good afternoon, guys. So we will see the next topic on entrepreneurship development. That is, what are the various types of an entrepreneur, and what is the fundamental difference between an entrepreneur and an intrapreneur? So, if you talk about the various types of entrepreneurship, there are these four commonly classified categories. First is called a small business entrepreneurship. Second is a scalable startup entrepreneurship, and the third is a large company entrepreneurship, and fourth is a social entrepreneurship. So we will see very clearly each one of them, what are they and what are the because everyone has got some unique characteristics, and also see what are the differences between these four types in the next slides. Now, small businesses entrepreneurship. Now, as the name suggests, the word here is clearly mentioned as small business. And I would like to recall, as per the last PPT, whatever we have taken. Now, entrepreneurship is an act of creating a business which is fundamentally, which is not really not existing. So they are creating a new business. So that is a fundamental point when you talk about entrepreneurship. And the persons who are creating that are called entrepreneurs. That's a quick recap on what I mean by entrepreneurship. Now, coming back now, the small business entrepreneurship, as the name suggests, the small businesses. Now, for example, if we talk about these businesses, hairdresser, okay, and hairdresser, Naturals is predominantly, if you talk about Tamil Nadu, and you can see a lot of places that Naturals is a very key. They are into beauty businesses, and today the concept of hairdressers is evolved into business of beauty. So hairdresser, and the second is a grocery store, and today grocery store is also evolved into Amazon. But these are small businesses. So coming back, this hairdressers, the grocery stores, your local grocery stores, and your travel agents. So travel agents today do a lot of stuff like not only booking air travel and bus travel, as well as road travel, as well as rail travel, but they do a lot of other things like visa and passport facilitation, and a lot of other stuff they really do. And the consultants, today we got a lot of consultants, right from tax consultants to your structural building consultants and your manpower consultants. So today there are a lot of consultants in this domain, and your typical day-to-day carpenters, plumbers, electricians, etc. So they are who run their own businesses. Now these are very typically your local and small businesses. Now these people basically run their own businesses on their own, and their family members are a part of the organizations, or very close relatives, or so it's a very close run circle. When if you talk about the team which is running this business, it's really a very close circle. Now, the fundamental motto of this starting a small mentorship is it's another career. Like a salaried person goes to an organization and at the end of the day to take care of his family and needs. So for them, the primary motto is to ensure that they financially support the family, and um, also that looks the main motto with respect to small business mentorship is concerned. Now, the next type of entrepreneurship is a scalable startup entrepreneurship. Now, as the word says, scalable is something which you actually can replicate and move to a very high level. So, a very simple example, if you talk about Annapurna as a restaurant in Coimbatore, now you can actually see Annapurna is already there in Middle East, in Dubai, they are in Australia, they are in US. So that means, can this business has a characteristic of being scalable? Now, when those sort of businesses are done by entrepreneurship, then that becomes a scalable startup entrepreneurship. So there are a lot of businesses who are coming into scalable startup entrepreneurship. So, but not all businesses are scalable to a very quick and a fast extent. Many people, for example, you talk about semiconductor industry. Now, the pace of scaling up is going to be very little bit, not very fast, like say, for example, on online retailer, because semiconductor takes a lot of investment. So scalable is where you can replicate the business fast in multiple countries, and we can say, for example, McDonald's is a very good example of a scalable startup entrepreneurship. So they are almost present in all countries across the globe, and they are having a similar business model and a lot of common characteristics. So that is a simple example of a scalable startup entrepreneurship. Now, when you talk about a large company entrepreneurship, is the company is already there. It's not that you're going to build a large company. Obviously, when you talk about a large company, they mean it's evolved over a period of time. So what does it really mean when you talk about large company entrepreneurship? So what we really mean here when you talk about a large company entrepreneurship is, inside a large company, you are going to create new business models, new divisions, and new markets and new geographies. So this is also a large company entrepreneurship. So when you talk about Geo, so Geo, already, the parent company is Reliance Industries. And when you talk about Geo, you know already they are a very big telecommunications organization. So Geo evolved out of Reliance Industries through the strategic vision and of the team which is operating out of Reliance Industries, so which is actually the parent company of Reliance Group. So that is a very simple example of a large scale entrepreneurship. Now, the other type of entrepreneurship is social entrepreneurship. The social entrepreneurship, as the name suggests here, the focus is not only earning profits, but the focus is on creating products and services for businesses that is going to solve your social problems. Now, for example, if you talk about today, there is a lot of people of late 70s and 80s. So who the parents and sons and daughters are there abroad and they stay alone. So the old age is for them, there is a elderly housing market. Now there is a lot of social emotional connect involved in the business. One is because you are addressing a very very important need that elders have to be taken care, and they need support, emotional support, mental support, and they need security. Now that is all been captured in terms of a elderly housing market. So this is an example of a social entrepreneurship. So coming back, we have seen already these four types of entrepreneurship: small business entrepreneurship, scalable startup entrepreneurship, large company entrepreneurship, and social entrepreneurship. So these are the four types of entrepreneurship. Now, example of a social entrepreneurship, we have definitely heard about the name called Arvind Eye Hospital. So they are today all over, predominantly all over. They started primarily in Pondicherry, and they today are all over the world. And there are a lot of facilities in Tamil Nadu. And the person, Dr. Govinda Venkatesh Swami, has addressed a very, very important social need. So to ensure that healthcare as well as is very accessible and affordable. The key thing is affordable for the customers, who ensure that hey, eye healthcare is very important. Now, what is the difference between entrepreneur and intrapreneur? Now, first of all, let me introduce what is an intrapreneur. An intrapreneur is definitely, it is an example, is an employee who's already working in an organization, but who doesn't get stuck up in the routine operations and routine processes. Now, he is in charge of creating a new products, new services, and new process inside an organization. Typically, his focus is not on the regular existing work. Now, he's in charge to bring the new services, and new processes. So that is called an entrepreneur. So a lot of good organizations provide opportunities for a person in terms of intrapreneurship. And entrepreneurship is already, the person who's ensured that he's a legal owner of the business. It is his own business. So that is a very fundamental and a simple difference between entrepreneur and entrepreneur. Now, today organizations, today if we talk about placements, the organizations do look for the mindset of an entrepreneur and working like an entrepreneur. So an entrepreneur is today, it's not an option. Today it is a very important step in terms of an individual should adapt to this culture of entrepreneurship. So typically all the characteristics of an entrepreneur is almost there in an entrepreneur. He doesn't depend only on income, so he will work in terms like the mindset of an entrepreneur. And he will be having a lot of cross-functional interactions, and he will actually not work in a very structured way, so he will work with the multiple teams. So end of the day, it is responsible for he and his team to bring out new products, services, and new services and products. So these are some of the differences between an entrepreneur and an entrepreneur. Now, the typically an entrepreneur is going to use his own resources, but an intrapreneur is going to use the resources which is provided by the company. So that's a very big difference. Yes, understood. And the capital again has the same point. In an entrepreneur is raised by him, but in terms of an intrapreneur, it is definitely the company is going to finance all this works which is going to take. And now the dependency level, though the intrapreneur is dependent, but there is a lot of freedom for him to work, obviously with a lot of accountability and results. Now the risk is in terms of an entrepreneur is borne by himself, but in terms of an entrepreneur, it is taken by the company. So thank you very much for this session, and I would like to know whether there is any doubts and questions. Thank you very much.